Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76. First of all, please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Well, in the aftermath of my Kevin Samuels live stream, there was still some meat on the bone, as they say, and as is often the case when you write down all these talking points and when you get into the heat of the moment and you're on camera and it's live and the clock is running, everything doesn't come out nice and scripted the way you want it to. And of course, when you have those comments in the chat and people super chatting you and cash apping you and those kinds of things, and you're simulcasting to Facebook and you're wondering who's getting upset because you're talking about Kevin Samuels, some things inevitably get lost. And I thought about something afterwards. I did share in the live stream that I did do an hour consultation with him. Part of that involved fashion, and of course it went into some other areas that I described in the live stream. But one of the things that there was a professional aspect of that consultation. There was a social aspect and a professional aspect as well. And I think what I'll say about the professional aspect is that during that consultation, I think Kevin tried to gauge what my career track was, what sector I was in, what my aspirations were, and if I was trying to move up in my organization. Now, as you know, I've shared on here that I have dreams of financial freedom long before the age of 60. So that was hard for me to share with him, but I did at least share that I might like to be promoted at some point. So the question in the meantime, so the question arose, well, the people who get promoted, the people who are managers in your government agency, in your office, who are they and what do they look like? How do you dress when you go to work every day? And that was an interesting discussion, because what I realized was that I thought about how the men dressed and I thought about how the women dressed, and I tried to describe to him that my office is very, very dressed down. So in other words, my office, in my opinion, is very, very dressed down. And after thinking about it, I did realize that the managers in the quote-unquote front office, they do dress a certain way. The women wear dresses, or formal pantsuits. The men, if they're in the front office, and if they're a manager, because my current office has branches within my division, the men don't always wear ties. They don't always wear shirts and ties and suits. The men in my division, they will wear those if there's a special meeting. They'll wear those if they have to go over to Congress or something like that. But on a day-to-day basis, no. And actually, a running joke in my current division is, if you're a staff and as a man, if you roll in with a shirt and tie, the joke is, well, where's your interview? Do you have an interview? You're wearing a shirt and tie. Well, that tells you what the atmosphere is like there. And as a matter of fact, when I started this position several years ago, I did ask the director, well, what's acceptable attire for men? She said, oh, a nice collared shirt, a polo shirt, khakis, shoes, something like that. So she wasn't very, very specific about what I should wear. And I never, in my entire time in my current position as a regulatory scientist in the federal sector, I never got official advice at my office about how I should dress on a day-to-day basis. So there have been times when I've gone in polo shirts and on Fridays and Mondays and Fridays, jeans. There have been times, I think maybe during the week, when I've gone in jeans. I hadn't really paid attention to how the things fitted on me until recently. There were times when things were baggy, probably more so than they should have been. And in the summertime, my current office, when we were going into the office, had a policy where we could wear shorts to the office. So it was nothing to see people in shorts and sandals and, those kinds of things, dressed a little more informally. So that was the normal at my office. And I tried to explain that to Kevin. And then he asked me, what did my supervisor look like? And I realized that there are people in my office, some of them, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but some of the managers who aren't necessarily in the best shape physically. So you have all this variation in how to dress, but also in terms of personal health and image as well. So he and I talked about that. What's interesting is a couple of years ago, over on the Ratchet Report, many of you have heard me talk about my one of my exes, my strong-minded, independent queen from Northwest Miami. When me and this person were dating, again, I had very little fashion sense up to that point. In the live stream, I talked about how while at the University of Michigan, I got rigorous and extensive scientific training. There was no discussion about fashion, fragrances, or footwear, or any of those types of things. So I came out knowing a lot about science, but not necessarily knowing how to dress and style. So me and my ex, we did have that back and forth. And at one point, we had several back and forths about how I looked when I went off to work every single day. And I told her repeatedly, well, my office is dressed down. No one, most of the men don't really dress up, and it's not that big a deal. And I remember she told me, well, just because they don't dress up doesn't mean that you don't have to. And so I didn't quite see the importance of that up to that point. Again, I'll tell the story of my graduate advisor, a very sharp man, a very bright man, wore suits to science meetings. They weren't nice and fitted from Suit Supply. He wore a polo shirt and jeans most days, and he wore sneakers till they were basically at their end. And at the ending, I was going to say something else, but I don't want to be disrespectful to him. But I'm just saying that to say that I had very little knowledge of that, and that's something that needed to be filled in. But I think one of Kevin's take-home messages, and I didn't think about this, is, well, even at the workplace, you may be evaluated for promotions based upon how you look. So if you show up looking sloppy, if you show up looking average, you may be treated that way, and that may be reflected in your promotion potential. It's probably not something that should be evaluated when considering your qualifications for a promotion, but on some level, subconsciously, maybe when people are considering promoting staff to manager and beyond, perhaps personal appearance and personal image does factor heavily in. I was thinking, when he and I were in that consultation, I was thinking, okay, well, how do many of the men dress in my division? And now I can think of one manager. Some days he wears button-down shirts. Some days he wears polo shirts, khakis with sneakers. I can think of some of the other managers and branch chiefs, my superiors. I noticed that the men wear these button-down shirts with checkers. And I went into another part of our agency recently, and I saw another man who I didn't know walking around with a button-down shirt that had checker designs on it. So that seems to be standard office wear. Button-down shirts with checkers and khakis and some sort of shoe. So I just thought that was interesting. That dawned on me when me and Kevin talked about that, but also afterwards. And when I went to that other part of my agency recently, I saw another man walking around like that. And I said, okay, this is how people dress in my office. You know, it's dressed down. When there are special occasions, people dress a little more formally, but on a day-to-day basis, it's button-down shirts for men, khakis. The women will wear dresses and those kinds of things. But I think the take-home message, and one of the things that he tried to hammer home to me, was your image matters, and it can affect your professional ascension. So you need to be aware of your surroundings. You know, at the University of Michigan, in the Department of Pharmacology, the principal investigators and scientists, they're the kings there. Their labs are their kingdoms, and they can go in there pretty much dressed however they want, aside from official meetings and giving seminars and interviewing at other institutions. But when you're in a federal office in the private sector, and when you're in corporate, you need to pay a little more attention to how you look in terms of your fashion, and also in terms of your personal health and how your body looks and the shape that you're in. And I'm going to close with this. Speaking of physical fitness, I also realized during that consultation that there was a huge amount of variability there, in that not everybody in my current office is in tip-top shape. Some people are a little more round. Some people are, I'll just say that not everyone is in tip-top shape, because the more I say, I may get myself in more trouble. And, you know, the older you get, your physical fitness is something that you have to stay on top of. And I think that in the years leading up to when I had that consultation and when I went to MIT Dallas, you know, I was working my day job, and I started my blog, and I've been working on my book, and I had started my YouTube channel and channels, and I'd been sitting down, creating, typing, composing, recording video, and my physical fitness inadvertently may have been something that I put on the back burner, and it's something that unfortunately fell by the wayside, but that's something that I got back on top of after that consultation. Now, the other thing is that if you're single and there are multiple offices on your street, and you're going out for coffee or for lunch, and there are people from other buildings going into the same coffee shop or the same eatery, your image matters there as well. If you're going to happy hour after work, and there are people filtering into those lounges and restaurants and bars from multiple offices, then your image matters there as well. So there are several aspects of this whole thing. So guys, this was just a follow-up to that stream. You know, when you create a stream, things inadvertently get left out. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Please like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Let me know how people in your workplace dress, or how they don't dress. So I'll talk to you next time, and as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. All right, bye-bye.